Good evening and salutations, my Days of Our Lives fans. Let's start off with Nicole for a minute because yesterday, like I said, Nicole messed up. Okay. Instead of getting evidence and doing all the stuff that she was saying she was gonna do with rape the first time, um, she decides to just call Ava out and make things worse. Because now you don't have evidence, and it's going to be a lot harder to get evidence when she knows that you're onto her. So Nicole, tries to go up to Melinda and it's like, yo, listen, Rafe isn't a dirty cop. Ava's the one that's setting him up. But Melinda's like, listen, I can't take your word for it. Right now, I got two people saying otherwise. Well, you can sit there and bring me more than hearsay, then we can sit there and talk. So what Nicole does is she talks to one of the guys that accused him, and she makes up the stories and they're saying that she's Jennifer Devereaux and she's with the Spectator, and she's like, yo, listen, I know that Rafe didn't do anything. And I know that Ava Smith there is the one that's done, pushing you to sit there and say this stuff. But here's the thing. I got evidence that they're saying otherwise. And when Ava goes down, she's going to take you down with her. The question is, what do you want to do? Do you want to sit there and tell the truth? Or do you want to go down with her? Now, the guy is like, yo, listen, the last time somebody crossed her, they had a knife in his chest. So I ain't sitting there trying to do that. But before, Nicole really gets a chance to sit there and try to work him, um, Melinda comes back in, and Melinda's like, "Oh, okay, cool. So we're witness tampering now. That's great. Okay, cool. You can go now. Otherwise, I could sit there and have the court officer throw your ass out." And I'm looking at this whole thing. I'm like, all right, so Nicole, you made a mistake, a huge mistake. So what are you going to do? You go and try to fix that mistake by making an even bigger mistake. So now rape case is looking even worse. I'm just sitting there just looking at this whole thing and I'm like, you know what? Karma. Karma. You you practically want to sit there and get with Rafe, knowing that Rafe was with Ava. You still lied to her face. You went behind her back, and it got her up until a point where now she's sitting there trying to send this guy to jail. Which again, I don't feel bad for her. And then you just made it worse, and now you even made it even worse today. So at this point, I'm like, Nicole, I don't know what to tell you because I feel like if you try to do something more to help, you're gonna somehow make it worse. You know what? Screw you and screw Rafe. Do it. Do it. So Chanel comes to see Trip because Chanel wants to get Trip to sit there and testify that, Johnny was happy because, Johnny is going to sit there and make the claim that, this was an impulsive decision. He didn't really feel too sure about it. And, if Trip testified that, he was really happy about his decision and, he really felt like he was in love with her, that may work out in her favor. And I'm just not there looking at this whole thing and I'm like, so let me get this straight. You are literally screwing his girl behind his back, and you have the nerve to sit there and ask this man for help. That's amazing. That's great. So Trip tells, Chanel that, he's gonna sit there and propose to Allie, shows her the ring and everything like that. And he talks so highly about her, like Allie and stuff, and you could just sit there and look at the guilt on Chanel's face. And she does agree to sit there and help him out as far as how to pop the question and what kind of drinks to sit there and use. Which I'm just looking at this whole thing. I'm like, really? You gonna put the ring in a put the ring in the champagne glass? Like, I feel like there's just so much that could just go wrong that it's like, nah, I'm good. I'm not. I'm not going through any of those shenanigans. Um, But yeah, she gives him the recipe as far as like I guess she doesn't like a certain type of drink, so um I think they're using cocktails or something like that. So she helps him out, even though she is literally she literally stabbed him in the back by hooking up with his girlfriend. So that's nice. Allie runs into Ava in the square, or whatever. Ava's upset and crying and stuff. And Allie's like, "What happened?" And Ava's like, "Yeah, Rafe was cheating on me with Nicole." And so now at this point, Allie has to sit there and act surprised. Um, Ava brings up the accusation that both of them made, and Allie's like, "I can't help but ask, did you do it?" Now I'm sitting there looking at this whole thing. I'm like, Allie, did you think that she was going to say, "Yeah, yeah, I did. I mean, I was really jealous and angry, and I just really want like, what did you think was going to wind up happening?" So of course she says no, and she gets defensive, and Ali apologizes. Um, they start talking, and then Ava, slips, slips out that Trip is going to ask, her hand in marriage. And at first she tries to cover it up. At this point, I'm like, I mean, I always know that, I always sit there and talk about how Ali is not exactly the well, to be honest, I always sit there and refer to her as an idiot. But she did, kind of put two and two together between the fact that Trip was meeting with Roman and stuff like that. So she's like, yeah, he's gonna marry me. But um, Ava is like, yo, listen, I ain't even sit there and tell you that. So like, whatever you decide, just act surprised at this point. Um, and of course, Ali and Chanel wound up meeting up, and I was like, yeah, Trip is gonna ask me, for my hand in marriage, and Chanel was like, yeah, no, he told me, and I think Chanel was like, what are you gonna sit there and do? And I'm just looking at this whole thing like, I mean, either answer is, I mean, in the real world, not in the soap opera, because in the soap opera, this stuff needs to play out because drama and stuff like that. But in the real world, um, it would probably make so much more sense for her to just come clean. Just come clean, and 'cause, eventually these things just wind up coming out. And it's the same situation with Gwen and Xander. She's building this whole fantasy land, and it's going to go through this whole marriage. And when the truth comes out, she's gonna be sitting there looking stupid, being all crying and being all like, "Oh, I'm sorry." Da, 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 da. We can already see it. We can already see it from a mile away of Allie sitting there crying and be like, "Well, it was just that one time." Well, I mean, it was just that. Well, she was really feeling bad, and I want to comfort her, and one thing led to the next, like, because that's gonna work out so well. You can already see the waterworks just flowing, and I mean, from what I heard back in the day, Trip put a knife or a scalpel to Kayla's throat. So, I mean, it's kind of hard to stand imagine that now because he seems so honest and good and pure hearted and everything like that. But not that long ago, he was ready to kill Kayla. So, I don't think he's going to want to killing Allie, but he's going to be pretty pissed off, and you're gonna see a completely different side of him when he finds out, and I am so looking forward towards that. So Ben and Sierra are fooling around, and Julie comes to the doors. And when they open it up, because Ben's there trying to put on his shirt and everything like that, and Julie walks in, and Julie's like, "Oh yeah, you missed a butt." I'm like, come on, like I know I sit there and kind of get on Julie sometimes, but Julie, she was that age at one point too. It's not like she didn't know what she walked into. But she walks in and she's like, "Yeah, I don't see the cross outside. You, one of y'all want to sit there and tell me what happened to that cross?" And so Sierra was like, "Yeah, the craziest thing happened. Every time we kept, putting a cross, we, put it up, it kept turning upside down. Now I'm sitting there looking at this whole thing, And I'm like, y'all don't seem like y'all are like, y'all seem like y'all should be more concerned about that than it's just we don't know what happens. The craziest thing is like, we had to cross and every time it just kept going upside down. I'm like, and that didn't seem like alarming to y'all at all. Like that totally makes sense. So, he starts sitting there popping around the question, like, do you think that Doug gets possessed and stuff like that? Like, Marlene's not possessed. They go back and forth. And eventually Julie leaves. Because Julie's like, yo, listen, there's a good chance that, you know, Diablo's not going to. And so she leaves, and Ben and Sierra is there, still going back to Doug and, Marlena and stuff like that. And he started thinking about how many people was in that room. And they go through all the list of different people, and eventually they come up with Johnny. And it just so happens that between Johnny being at Julie's place with when the fire happened, when the stove started like lighting up and everything like that, and the fact that Johnny was the one that brought the crossover. It's not that much of a far stretch. So I gotta sit there and say, I know. Here's the thing: I know that this was no, actually, this was the one that was on course. Never mind. So they definitely left it on a good cliffhanger. I'm sitting there thinking about the other two soaps that was interrupted yesterday, but this is on track. I'm gonna be honest. When Jake walked into the room and he's like, he starts talking to Gabby like, "Yo, what's going on? You say you was gonna be at the police station. You're not there yet. What's going on?" I'm surprised that Jake, hasn't figured out that Gabby is extremely pissed off at him. Like, I'm looking at this whole situation. I'm like, you're not getting like angry vibes coming from her, like at all, because it's written all over her facial expression. Okay, she is one of those women that when she's mad, she's happy. I mean, granted, yeah, everyone has, you know, like you can kind of see it in everyone's faces, but some people have expressions that you don't even have to sit there and like. It's so blatantly obvious. It's hard to sit there and describe, but some people like when they're mad and they're happy, whatever, like their facial expression just lights up more than like most people. And Gabby is one of those type of people where it's like it is clear as day. Not just that, but just the way that she's sitting there talking to Jake, like very sharp, very one word answers, very quick. Um, but with that being said, Johnny's like, let's get down to business. Tony and Chad are gone, so we need to sit there and call a meeting and get everything taken care of. Like now, we need to sit there and act on that plan now. And of course, Jake is like, yeah, we're gonna sit there and make you see, CEO or yeah, CEO of Titan. And so, the whole time, Gabby is just sitting there looking at him with the evil eye. And afterwards, they start kissing or whatever for a little bit, and you can see that Johnny Diablo is getting pissed. Like he is just raging. And he gets to a point where he does some sort of Jedi mind trick or whatever and, hurts Jake, like sends some sort of electric in his brain or something like that. And so he leaves. And granted, here's the thing, when he walked in, he saw Johnny about to kiss Gabby. So, at this point, he's like, yo, listen, let's just get this plan underway. Let's just get this plan done because I can't sit there and look at, Johnny try to hit on my girl that much longer. Meanwhile, while he leaves, Johnny and Gabby are sitting there plotting to sit there and take him down. And, well, Gabby wants to kill him. Okay? Gabby wants to literally, rip him apart limb by limb. But this whole time, they're looking at him like, is Gabby going to sit there and tip her hand? Right now, Johnny is there to kind of keep her under control. But there's going to be some times where she's going to have to sit there and be with him by himself. And even when they woke up and stuff like that, the way she was acting was like, you're going to tip your hand. You're gonna tip your hand, sweetheart. You're gonna tip your hand. Either that, or Jake is just an idiot that does not understand when a woman is upset. When a woman is upset with him, let's put it this way: when a woman's upset with somebody, you can feel it. Okay, you can literally feel it in the air. It is just, it's there. I think that's about it. I gotta sit there and say this was another good episode. It's one of those things where it's like, even though nothing super crazy happened, it was still a good episode. And it's weird. Now that I sit there and watch all four soap operas, you can tell episodes that are good, that are just either range from really great to good to just straight up, oh my goodness, something needs to happen. Talking about why I know, but they have their moments sometimes, and the most is still getting used to it. I feel like that's about it. But I've also been up since 4 o'clock this morning, so there's a possibility that I did miss something. So with that being said, I'm gonna go. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below, and I will see you in the next video. Have a great weekend.